this is an amazing thing. This used to be just a flat land full of mud. And little by little, we started to build the dorms and the 3 classrooms. We have a computer, and their kids are committed. I mean, they come and they're ready to work when they get here. They bring supplies, school supplies, and themselves become teachers for a whole week. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. They just love to be able to connect with the children and be a blessing in their lives. They come and they're just so eager to make a change in a world that is suffering. A child without a father, or a child without education, or a child without even a sport to play. And they have come and they even painted this, this basketball court, and they done even the most insignificant things that you can think someone can do. Yeah, they make huge differences. I guess the most gratifying thing is to see children get educated, because I know that through education, through learning, there is hope. There is a way to get out of poverty.
My name's Shelby Crozier, and I got involved in Project Nicaragua when I was a freshman in college. I saw the Project Nicaragua group out at our student involvement fair, where all the student organizations come out and talk about what they do, and they just had a really unique kind of vision and mission that they were going after, and it sounded like an incredible opportunity. So I went to their first meeting. I ended up going on a trip with them down to Rancho Grande just a few months later, and I've been really involved with them ever since, because I just fell in love with the group and the country.
I'm a senior at Ohio State, 4th year, and I got into Project Nicaragua. It'll be about 3.5 years ago now, almost instantly. Just the atmosphere of the group. I mean, these people here are incredible, just the people from Ohio State. And then once they got me involved enough where I felt like I could go on a trip and, actually contribute to it, I mean, just it's a home away from home for me now.
I'm 21. I'm going into my 4th year at OSU, studying biology as a major and public health as a minor. I joined Project Nicaragua 2 years ago, so this will be my 3rd year. And I went on my first trip last winter, so this is my 2nd trip right now.
I first heard about Project Nick from my brother. He had been a member of the group for 2 years before I'd been to OSU. He's going to be a senior now at OSU, and he's the now president. And so he told me about it, and he would go on these trips every 6 months, and he'd come back, and he'd always be like incredibly excited about everything that was happening, hundreds and thousands of miles away from him. And I never really seen him that excited about anything before. So it was really cool to be able to see him go on that, and I knew I wanted to be a part of that and kind of see, basically what was going down in Rancho Grande, and if I could be a part of it.
Going into the 2nd semester of college, I decided I wanted to do something more hands-on, some kind of more hands-on work that had to do with things I was interested in, some applications of engineering. Kind of poked around looking at some different clubs at school and found Project Nicaragua. And I really liked the group of people. I felt like they had a goal that I could connect with, and I felt like there was really an opportunity for me to actually do something, as opposed to a lot of groups talk about doing all these different projects and all these different things that are wrong in the world and everything that you can do to fix them, but never actually get to it. And the first time I went to a Project Nicaragua meeting, they were talking about things that they had already done and what the next steps in the project were, and it was very action-oriented, and I really liked that.
I really enjoyed the 2nd trip experience. That's one of the best parts about the club, is that you get to come here over and over again and really build those relationships. And it's not a whole lot of other clubs where you can walk into a village like this and see familiar faces, and it kind of feels like you're a part of the community a little bit.
I definitely think that the way that Project Nicaragua works, where it's self-sustainable, and where instead of just giving someone money and then they spend it and that's the end of it, that telling them that when they spend money here or to the organization or donate, that it's going to something that kind of is a cycle that's going to keep helping them.
There's, I think, almost 1,000 clubs at Ohio State. So, like you said, it's almost impossible to find, your particular niche on your first try. So I did kind of look around, tried a couple of things my freshman year, and wasn't really finding something where I felt my needs were being met as well as, the needs of the club. It's no, we're going to visit this country, we're going to visit this village, and we're going to build connections. And that way we create, a lasting opportunity.
My husband and I, we've been missionaries for over 33 years now. And we've been, out of those 33 years here in Nicaragua, we've been in Nicaragua for almost 22 years.
One of like the greatest things that Noemi's accomplished, she's obviously created a lot here if you just look around the school. But she's gotten a lot of kids, a lot of like Ohio State students in this club. We're going to be graduating with these fancy degrees, and I think we're still going to have this in our hearts,
Definitely, I was really excited to meet Naomi because she's talked about constantly, even back at Ohio State, we talk about her all the time during the meetings. These kids are like her actual blood kids. Like, she cares about them so much, and you can tell she gets sad when she has to talk about the kids who left the program, and she gets sad when she talks about the girls who've gotten pregnant and had to drop out of school. And it's just like talking to someone's mom if their kids had to go through similar situations. And that's when I can kind of see that she really does care about them. And even the kids who have left the program, she still is in contact with them because she hasn't given up on them, and she still wants them to come back and to do something with their lives. And that's really inspirational to me, for sure.
So for me personally, I kind of see her as maybe like a friendly aunt or someone, super doting on you, but also she can be stern at times. And just her desire, her love, if you look at her, you watch her go around, she has serious love. It's real, it's 100%, and it just makes me feel incredibly happy and fills you with all the great emotions you could ever imagine. And so I guess for Noemi, she just kind of embodies all that greatness.
In 2003, we came here to start a feeding center for 100 children.
And they figure out how many pounds per day they need to survive to the next harvest. And it's rice and beans. And if you go to a home, what do you have for breakfast? Rice or beans. What do you have for lunch? Rice and beans. What do you have for dinner? Rice and beans. So, and that's when I'm going to show you now, when we go at noon to see the feeding center and the kids eat and everything, you'll be able to see, and I'll show you the packets of food that we use to make the meal that they eat nutritionist. Yeah. So.
And this is where we store all the food for the month. And this is the package that I wanted to show you. We're just not feeding the kids for the sake of feeding them. We are plugged into ministries that are giving us this rice packet, or it's like soup, and it contains all these vitamins. And the other mothers, they come and they cooperate. They come in and they help. They're helpers to the mentor. And usually if they come to help as many children as she has, even though they're not enlisted, perhaps in the feeding center they get to eat. So this is the crew, that cooking crew that we have every day, 3 moms. The lead mom, and then the other 2 helpers. This is where the kids come and wash their hands. And we have tied a little cup because they're always thirsty. So that way they can come and just grab the cup, and we have it tied so they don't take it away. And they come in and get a drink of water. We love these kids, and we feed them, and we care for their health, and we care that they get education. This is the girls' home. Yes, this is the home that we make sure that they have a stove. There's a bathroom. There's a storage room. This is where the refrigerator goes. No hay luz. That's where the refrigerator is. And upstairs are the bedrooms. So we made this into a girls' dorm for girls that come from the villages. And they don't, this is like a boarding school, you can say, because if they want to get like a high school education, they have to be in Rancho Grande. And so that's why Renita and her sister lives here. And her parents, they come very often to visit them. But this is like a boarding school so that the kids can get an education. We had another girl, but she dropped the program. Like, there's always going to be, sometimes it's very disappointing. You know, to be in my program, they have to be going to a school. They can't just be here for a job or for the opportunity of being part of the program. They have to be in school. For me, education is so important that if they're not educating themselves, then they're not part of the program. So I'm constantly checking on report cards and how they're doing. And that's why even, you know, when the Ohio State kids come, the ones that are in school are taking classes with them. This is amazing, you know. Just about 2 years ago, we we dreamed of having a basketball court for our kids because I didn't want them only to think that, you know, being at school or doing homework was important, but for them to have a place where they can come, have fun, learn a sport.
It's pretty tough walking around town and seeing all these kids, but then they get so excited about the small things. Like they've been kicking around. They have the soccer ball that it looks older than I am, and if it goes, they'll launch it into the brush and they will immediately fight for it. So I'm sure they've retrieved that soccer ball from who knows where, and it's amazing to see them appreciate something so small that we would kind of just throw away.
So here we are today. It's roughly 11 a.m. and we're getting ready for classes. Some of the classes have already started and some classes are getting ready to start here in about another hour or two. What we have right behind me is our middle age group. So this is roughly the kids who are either at the end of their primary school, so 4th, 5th, 6th grade, or getting ready for their secondary school, so 7th and 8th grade. And so if you guys want, we can go ahead and take a peek in and then I can talk a little bit more about like what we're actually doing in here. So what we have here is Cassidy is working on fractions today. So fractions is just a portion of our mathematics section. And so with our secondary kids, they already know the basics, addition, subtractions, things like that. And we're working on trying to expand their knowledge and things that they either don't cover very well in the regular class, or that things that they actually don't get to cover in their class because their days are a lot shorter than ours in terms of class time. We want them to feel like they have ownership, or they have, created something of worth, basically. And so, like you said, these projects that we're doing, when you come in, there's already projects initiated. We had the bakery, we had the sewing center, and it wasn't like, okay, now that we have a bakery and sewing center, you can't do anything with that anymore. It's like, how can we make the bakery better? How can we make the sewing center better? And then it's like, if you have a new idea, it's like, oh, you want to do clean cook stoves. Yeah, let's do clean cook stoves. So, yeah, definitely a big draw was the fact that this clean cook stove, you could basically, whatever you could create, like the clean cook stoves, for example, you can do.
All right, so right now we're in the bakery. We opened up this bakery a couple of years ago, and we gave them about a microloan of about 3,000 Cordobas, and they were able to pay that off last year. Right now we have Chico, Melvin, and Junior working in the bakery. Chico and Melvin do all the cooking, and Junior sells the bread and the pizza and all the other products they make downtown. And then over here is where they do all the cooking inside of this oven right here. And then this bakery is also attached to the feeding center, which is right through these doors and right through this window over here.
And even I think that we've kind of affected some of their parents' mindsets too, because we've also over the years had a lot of, we've had different meetings with the parents where we've, talked to them about our stove project that we've been doing, or talked to them about some of the things that we're doing in the feeding center with nutrition and everything, and just kind of talking about things that they maybe wouldn't have thought about before, I guess. Like as far as our like clean cook stoves go, when we were doing that whole project, it was a lot of involvement like with the parents of our students and with other people in the community, like a little bit more than we usually would be. Because a lot of times we're just kind of here, we're working with the students, and anyone else in the community that's affected, it's a little bit more like indirect, like through our kids. But when we were actually out in the community, like doing stoves, there were a lot of people like not even in the houses that we were going to, like, you know, wondering what was going on. So we ended up talking to a lot of people. And just kind of seeing like, yeah, like this is what we're doing, like this is something that we could do to like, you know, improve your health and kind of like improve the way you're living in your house. And it's something that like they never even thought that there was any other way. They're like a lot of the parents are like, oh yeah, we just cook on an open fire and like that's how it is, that's what we have to do. So I think it's just a lot of like showing people that there's like another way to do things, or that there are like different things that they can reach for, if that makes sense. Just kind of a difference in perspective, I think, is what we bring to a lot of people.
Jasmine, ¿cómo está? Qué linda. You know, this little one had leprosy in her side of her face, and she almost died. As you can see, but I took her to Managua, to the Children's Hospital, and she stayed there for like 3 months, and she's now better. Saved her life.
So Project Nicaragua is like answering those kind of like big questions in this like little village, and I think, you know, there's no reason to like go past that right now. I think it's like a great place to start and like try out new things and see like what works and what doesn't work, and like we can share that information with other organizations too that are working on similar challenges.
Because we're foreigners, we're people who of a different color, of a different race, just like with anyone else, the different can be kind of scary sometimes. You're not exactly sure who they are. Just take it slow. Don't force your way in. Just kind of show that you're there and around. You don't have to be involved, but as long as you're walking around the village, let them see you. They'll approach you when they're ready.
It's a little nerve-wracking because there are all these kids who already knew some of the people coming, but there are all these new unfamiliar faces, but they just like want to jump in and be your friend right away, which is like kind of shocking to me at first because, you know, being around the US, not really like that. People aren't really always like eager to come up and start like being friendly with you, but all these kids are so kind of eager to just come and like love on you and play with you, and like when you're teaching them, like they're really interested in like hearing what you have to say and being a participant in that.
And then the other really big problem, I think, for us is the cultural boundary, is the fact that because, you know, we're in the United States and they're in Nicaragua, even though we kind of have this idea of, you know, oh, this is what we need to do, going down and telling them, oh, this is what you need to do isn't necessarily the best way to go about it. When you get down there, you have to see the needs of the village and basically adjust your plan so it fits them, not fit the village to your plan.
And just from being in the classroom even for 3 or 4 hours today, the kids are very smart, and they're walking up here, they're coming to school, they're ready to learn, but there's gaps, and we don't have people to teach them. We don't have the supplies we need to teach them.
I think the challenge at any club is that membership is always, you know, rolling over. So at best, they're only there for 4 years. And then after 4 years, you have to hope that the next group coming in behind them is just as good, if not better.
One of the most gratifying things working with Project Nicaragua, especially with the students over here, is when you see them understand something or you see a change in them, like over the 2 trips that I've been to.
Yeah. So my hope for Project Nicaragua is, you know, to always promote change in a positive way. So it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be, you know, like I said, helping every single person in Rancho Grande or every single person in Nicaragua. Changing one kid's life at a time is what we're aiming for.
Mira,